Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever met a clown? And then, not even 24 hours later, a day later or so, you run across somebody who's so much more clownish than the clown you just met yesterday, that the clown you just met yesterday seems like a wise man by comparison. It's almost like the clown you just met is carrying frankincense and myrrh. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Country gun violence against civilians and police officers is on the rise. ABC's Phil Lipoff leads us off from New York.
Tonight, a somber show of respect on the streets of New York City for NYPD officer Jason Rivera, killed in the line of duty, as the governor announces a new interstate task force to combat illegal guns. Governor Kathy Hochul saying in a statement, "We have a moral obligation to do everything we can to fight the scourge of illegal guns on our streets." And
gentlemen, and once again, she makes it about the inanimate object. A firearm is no different than a hammer or a car. It's a tool. She refuses to address the real situation of what's going on in her state. Don't blame Baltimore. Don't blame Florida, Texas. The key question to ask yourself, Dan Bongino said this. It makes so much sense. I think he knows what he's talking about. If people are going to places where they can buy guns, and they're coming back to your city where they can't, where citizens can't defend themselves, maybe the problem isn't the guns. Maybe the problem is the citizenry. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about here.
New York is feel as if a sea of violence is engulfing our city. But as your mayor, I promise you, I will not let this happen. We will not surrender our city to the violent few.
Mayor Adams says now is the time for a more aggressive approach, rolling out his blueprint for safety today at City Hall. As part of the plan, the controversial anti-crime street unit, where officers dress as civilians to get guns off the street, is being reinstated.
Safety and justice are prerequisites for prosperity.
The unit was dismantled in 2020 after years of criticism from civil rights advocates who argued too many innocent people of color were targeted. The mayor says his anti-crime unit will wear body cameras. There'll be consequences for officers to turn those cameras off, and they'll be more identifiable so subjects they engage don't think they're being jumped. The mayor also wants to add more officers on patrol on the streets and in subways, and add more detection efforts at city entry points for the Iron Pipeline, like spot checks at entry points like Port Authority and other bus and train stations. There'll also be additional homeless and mental health outreach and more employment opportunities for young people with a focus on those in foster care. He wants to activate every agency, saying violence is not just an NYPD problem, and bring state lawmakers, the federal government, DAs, and the court system to the table.
The sea of violence comes from many rivers. We must dam every river that feeds this greater crisis.
Professor Keith Ross at John Jay Criminal College of Criminal Justice is a retired NYPD officer, 3 years with the anti-crime unit. He agrees with the mayor.
If this is not a concerted effort between law enforcement, and the courts, district attorneys included, it's going to be victims of gun violence that get left behind.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the problem here? He's saying the right things. Here's the problem. The civil rights leaders, you've already heard when he was talking about bringing this unit back, BLM already came out and said, the leader of BLM New York said, we'll burn it down and blah, blah, blah. He's up against a tough road. Now, I know I called him a clown yesterday, but on this specific issue, he's talking common sense. Maybe he ran as a Democrat because there's no way in hell a Republican is going to get elected in New York City right now. So, he's just, I remember in Seattle, I don't even know if she's still governor or mayor, Jenny Durkin. When the Seattle City Council wanted to disband the police because they were all leftists, except for one person, I think. And she spoke out against it. She said, no, it's not going to happen. What they did, one of the city council members herself, Rashana Sawant, led a BLM rally protest lynching to her house. And then she tried to walk it back and say, no, I was just there. I wasn't leading it. But you can see in all the videos, she's out front with the bullhorn and she's leading the crowd to the mayor's house. So what happens in these cities is people have voted left for so long and they voted Democrat for so long. Now they're inside your institutions and they have a lot of power and a lot of control. That's why those city council races are so important. They have a lot of power and a lot of control. So I'll take back my clown remark yesterday from this guy, at least on crime. He wants to do the right thing. I think those are the right steps to take if you're going to show up crime in New York City. There's one video where they're actually talking to people on the streets of New York, and they're all the regular citizens in support of this. You know, it's not the special interest, the civil rights leaders who make a lot of money off civil rights issues. Don't believe me? Look at Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Name one other thing they've ever done. You know, Al Sharpton hosts some crap show now. That's about it, though. Looks like I don't know, a skinless fur coat wrapped around a skeleton now. He looked better fat. Get some weight back there, Al. Jesse Jackson, him and his son have been embroiled in scandal for so long, it's not even funny anymore. Didn't his son go to prison or something? But these leaders make a lot of money off civil rights issues. Now, if people truly woke up, opened their eyes, saw there aren't as many civil rights issues as you think. They're targeting black people. Well, who's committing most of the crime? Let's just be honest. And then something very important was said in that video. He said it's going to, the guy at the end, the law professor, said it's going to take the DA's prosecuting. Well, their DA there in New York City has a history of not prosecuting people. You have 80% of the crime taking place in 30 precincts. Think about how outrageous that is. They took 6,000 guns from people last year. Only 100 of those people was actually prosecuted. That's 5,900 that are still walking around out there. They got the gun in the first place. You don't think they know how to get another one? Really? Really? But no, you want to blame the gun. You want to blame states who let citizens defend themselves. It's a failed experiment. I went from calling Eric Adams a clown to now feeling bad for him. It's not going to work. See, it didn't work in Los Angeles. It didn't work in San Francisco because the left is so embedded. Remember, they hate cops. To them, the worst thing in the world is one more cop on the street. You see what the leader of BLM in DC came out and said? Stop treating cops like heroes and blah, 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 and copaganda. These people are evil, horrible people who don't care about anything but their pockets. And it's just too many people out there who may mean well, but through their own actions, support the actions of these evil people. So Eric Adams doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. Honestly. I think that's the right move to make. I think he's doing the right thing in this situation. However, he's in the wrong environment for that. But like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, especially in these days and time, keep your powder dry, say no to gun laws, and do what you got to do.